We back.
Had to hit a little thumbnail pose there for our visual audience.
So, what is this? What did we say? Ducati Report, episode 3.
Yeah.
Because I have Mr. Evan Ducati right here. And the screen went out. There we go. Ducati Report, episode 3, True Strength Life podcast.
You don't have to know a lot of things in order to make a huge difference for the Lord in the world. But you do need to know a few things that are great and be willing to live for them and die for them.
Will I let Jesus prove to me that he's truly my strength? To let him prove inside of me that through him I can do all things.
The True Strength Life podcast with Aaron Simpkins.
What's up, Mr. Ducati?
Not a whole lot, as is usually the case.
As is usual. So, any blog updates? Substack, Ducati Report.
I don't think there's been anything since the last one we did. So
A
lot of stuff coming down the pipe, though.
I haven't read that one yet.
Okay.
That was the New Year one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
I still
If
need
my
to read-
memory serves me correctly.
Still need to read that one.
Yeah.
So, what are we in? This is the first day of February as of this recording, right? Not a whole lot's happened the past couple weeks, right?
No.
Nothing in the world politically or planes.
Nothing at all.
So, that might have not been the best thing to laugh about.
I was gonna. Never mind.
So, yeah. We are currently in the middle of some important hearings for the Trump administration. We have the RFK hearing happening right currently, the Tulsi Gabbard, and who's the third one? Kash Patel.
Kash Patel. Yep.
Just saw your boy Dougie B. Got
Dougie B
confirmed.
don't even need a hearing.
Dougie B.
It was probably 100 votes, I would imagine, because everybody just loves him. That's how it is.
Right before the show started, we looked up see if we missed anything with the confirmings and confirmations. Yeah, confirmings. Interesting. So Doug Burgum is the Interior Secretary. I don't really know what that means or what he's going to do. But
Yes, we figured that out before we came on. I think it deals with like federal land, national parks, things like that.
But your boy Dougie B's in there.
Yeah, probably the best Interior Secretary ever.
Already.
Abundantly qualified. Greatest governor of all time.
All right, let's get
Anyway.
you off this train. Okay. So, where do we start? Oh wow.
Well, we were prompted to do this with the Bryann T news, so maybe we could.
Okay, well, yeah,
we can lead off with that.
We'll go there. So, unfortunately, start off with some sad, bad news.
Correct.
Christian hip hop. We both really like Christian hip hop, so if this seems to be out of left field, either you've never listened to the show before, or you've
never
no
heard
idea.
good music before.
Yeah, no idea what
Pretty
Christian
much.
hip hop is. But Christian hip hop, within Christian hip hop circles for the last probably 7 or 8 years, Bryann Trejo of Kingdom Music has been one of the top names. Like, you know, whenever it comes to guys who have created movements or are very well known for traveling a lot and doing a lot of shows, and you know he does or did you know, revival type concerts. We went to one. Was that last year? 2 years ago?
A couple years ago. Yeah.
Met him, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole thing afterwards, got a picture with him and stuff. And, you know, the whole seemingly has done great ministry and preaching the gospel and getting it out there and planting seeds. And very unfortunately, he has been exposed recently by his wife for a lot of adultery and things. So we don't necessarily need to get into this in terms of, like gossiping about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk broadly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But it is very unfortunate. It's very sad. And his wife put out a live video where, she was bawling her eyes out, things like that. And, just kind of spilling everything. And the next day, she actually wrote a post, saying she was really sorry for doing it that way. She was in her flesh, doing it that way. And when was it? That day or the day after, Kingdom Music, the ministry, the official ministry, they put out a letter saying, Bryann T has been, I don't remember if they said taken out of his position or stepped down, but either way,
he agreed to part ways, as they say.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of kind of fallout from this, and I mean, for him, like, you can only imagine what's going on in his mind. Like his whole everything around him has crumbled. I mean, off of his own,
and everything that he built up.
Yeah, off of his own wrongdoings. And something, what you just said reminded me, something she said in her video. What you just said, he said everything he built up. She said a phrase in her video about him. He's built this empire on lies. So I don't know why that maybe stuck out to me. Maybe just because of how strong of a warning it is to anybody that's trying to, well, anybody in general, because whether you have a platform or don't, obviously don't do what he did. But
it only matters if you're famous, remember?
Yeah. But it can happen to anybody. If we don't, if we're not putting our sin to God's feet every day, and checking our own hearts, and having God humble us every day, this is a reminder that even if you're one of the guys, like the main guys that everybody looking at you would think, like, yeah, you're that dude. You're the guy doing it all right. You're the guy that's super godly, and you're aware of your own shortfallings, and you're aware of what's going on around you, and you got people holding you accountable, and you have all these safeguards in place, so certain things don't happen. Like in CHH circles, if there was that guy, it would be him. Like it was him. He was the guy that
we were talking before about he would be on like all-time lists.
Yeah.
If we're thinking of it that way.
Yeah, as an artist, yeah. But even as, like, if you're just thinking of a ministry guy too, impact through ministry, like, and not even just talking, numbers, in terms of his artistry, but both of them, he's top notch. But he fell. Yeah. And so it's just a reminder, it can happen to anybody. Nobody is beyond being able to fall at any moment. That's why it's I mean, when John Crist, the comedian, when he had his whole thing a couple years ago, when he fell, I remember right before that all was put out, he released a rap song with No Big Deal, DJ Mike LV, and it was based off of his whole thing back in the day, where he would say, "Check your heart." Mm-hmm. And that was the song, "Check Your Heart." And in the song, he's going, "Check your heart," and because using that as his catchphrase. But, like, he was the check your heart guy,
right?
And then the check your heart guy fell, and So there's something. I mean, especially being a public figure, I think that the temptation's always there, if you let it be. But especially when you put yourself out as a public figure, and you're always out and about, and in different situations, it can be that much stronger, that much more of a temptation. I think, especially when you're popular.
I can see the thought process.
Yeah, especially when you're popular, and I mean I took it as a warning too, like as a man, not only as a man, as a dad, as a husband, but also as somebody who, I'm trying to. At the end of the day, I'm trying to create a little platform.
We're working on it.
I'm trying to create a little, YouTube channel, podcast, like get this thing built up to where, I don't know necessarily what I want to do with it long term yet, but I think it'd be cool to, be in a position with this where, I'm making some money from it, and where, maybe I get to the point where because I'm making more money, I'm able to put more time into it, and who knows where that might end up leading. But to be at that point, I have to be more well known. They go hand in hand.
Right.
I'm not doing it to be well known.
You should make some cryptocurrency.
Yeah. I'm not doing this all to be well known. That's not the goal. But wanting to have a bigger platform, to be able to do more with it, to be able to, spread more truth with this, I have to at the same time be more well known. Right. And I'm aware now where I have no followers, where I have no, nobody there yet that's really aware of me or the channel or the content, except for, few you.
Shout out.
Yeah, the few you strong ones. But I'm aware of that now where, I really, really have to guard against that. If this was ever to pop off, who's to say, there's going to be a lot more temptations coming my way. I have to start, being aware of that now. Because, it can happen to anybody.
We just got to have that viral moment. That's all we need.
Yeah. The Bryann T's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you look into it, try not to jump into the gossip side of it, because there's a lot of that there. You can easily find all kinds of videos and things people have made about it. But pray for him, pray for his wife, his family, all his ministry partners. It was made very clear very early on that this was just a him thing. This was not like other people around him doing it also. It was just him. So it was, unfortunately, it's one of those things, and then we'll jump off this topic. But unfortunately, it was one of those things where when somebody of a known name within, Christianity, air quotes, when somebody has a big platform or they're a big name and they fall.
It's always the Christians.
Yeah. And they fall. The sad thing is there's always going to be a next one. So now, Bryann T was the last big one. Well, who's the next one? And it's unfortunate to think like that, but we're aware that there's going to be a next one.
Right.
But that also should give you personally, internalize this personally for you as an individual, that that you take these warnings and become more vigilant against protecting, your own heart and your own ministry, and keeping away from the temptations around you, because don't let you be the next one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A little long-winded, but
Yeah,
it's all right.
And don't make any of these guys your idol.
Great point.
Don't make any of them your idol. Don't make me your idol. Evan your idol. You know.
Hard to do. I understand it, but
Yeah. And you're not a believer because you love these people that are also believers that you look up to. You're a believer because you believe in Christ.
that is still part of being a believer,
What?
like community in general.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I just don't want that to get
No.
misinterpreted or anything.
Community is very important. The fellowship is very important.
Of course.
Do not forsake the fellowship. It's huge.
Yeah.
But always remember, no matter who falls around you, that doesn't mean you have to follow them. That doesn't mean that Christianity is a joke and isn't real and isn't true. Because some people go that route. You know, when their favorite speaker or author or pastor or whoever falls, they go, "Oh, well, this whole Christianity thing is stupid, and I'm throwing it away because
One dude.
because my favorite so and so, fell from grace," is the phrase. Don't do that. My first warning or awakening to that point was with the whole Ravi Zacharias thing.
Okay.
Back when he fell, or it was put out that he had, because Ravi was my guy. Like he was my guy. I learned a whole bunch from when I first started, being real about my faith.
Right.
And for him to fall was like, dang, that was really a gut check. But I also very quickly realized my faith is my faith, not somebody else's faith. And this whole Bible and Christianity and Jesus thing is true because it's the truth, not because somebody says it is. Like, Ravi Zacharias or Bryann T or something. So don't fall into that temptation also. Yeah. Long-winded again.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good segment though.
Yeah.
All right, who's first?
So
we got RFK, we got Tulsi, we already hit on Dougie B. Most importantly, but
well, I mean, we didn't even mention Pete Hegseth.
oh yeah,
He's in.
shout
Like
out.
actually, officially, he's in.
Yeah, I believe tightest SecDef vote ever
Yeah, it was a
because it was a tiebreaker.
tiebreaker by Vance. Apparently, he had to rush down, and do it. But good thing he did because Pete Hegseth's in. And
How about it?
I like him for whatever that's worth. Not much. And he's got some cool tattoos. He can do 5 sets of 47 push-ups. We found out in the hearing.
Goofy.
Yeah, these hearings they're a joke, honestly.
It's the nature of the era that we live in at this point.
It's so it's such a clown show.
Absolutely.
No matter who it is, no matter what side, who it is,
Well,
wherever.
Rand Paul once said political theater, and that's kind of been my term for it the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is, and it's
All performance.
What was the one?
And that trickles down. Ronald Reagan reference. It trickles down into the population because you'll go on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and see this 15-second clip, and it's like, oh wow, he did so well there.
He owned him.
But yeah, and it's like, okay, what are the policy implications of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in congressional hearings, specifically.
Yeah. So
I had a Jaden Smith moment there, but
so what was I gonna say? Oh, before even the Pete Hegseth stuff. Actually, this is still happening.
oh yeah, Trump got inaugurated.
Well,
since we were last on
yes,
here.
I did do an episode about the inauguration day.
Yeah.
But since the inauguration day, the boy's been working the pen a lot, signing all these orders and actions.
Indeed.
And my point with them was, I mentioned this in the last episode, but my thing with those was, I love what they all are, what they mean, what he's trying to do with them.
Right.
I guess if you want to say the agenda. even though that word has become like poison nowadays. I don't love the method though of executive orders.
Welcome to libertarianism.
Because it's now just the presidential thing has just become like a, once the opposite side is in, they just do their own orders.
There was somebody a couple of years ago who said it's basically it comes down to we elect a dictator every 4 years, more or less.
Who said that?
It was some political commentator.
Okay. But like, it shouldn't be though. Like, that's not what our system is supposed to be.
Right.
So the executive orders, again, they were one of those things that like they were an emergency thing, supposedly, supposed to be just used for very specific certain things. But then it got used for, oh, hey, I can just write an executive order for whatever I want.
Yeah.
And but like that, the president's not supposed to technically be able to do that.
Right. I will say, it's especially disappointing to see that from a Republican president when, quote unquote, our side is supposed to be the one that cares about checks and balances and like the structure of the government and stuff like that.
Now, I mean, the argument is always, but both sides use this, but the argument is always, well, they already skipped the checks and balances.
Right.
So by me skipping the checks and balances, I'm just correcting things.
We're even now.
But I mean, Biden did that. He did that after Trump's first term. So, like I said, I don't love the method, but I do like what he's trying to push with them.
Fair.
And it's funny. That's a good spot to bring up.
Here we go.
So I've been getting my first social media insults.
Look at you.
From IG, TikTok, and all that. I'm
right.
getting some comments, bro.
You made it?
I made it. I feel like I made it. First time getting insult comments.
Okay.
And
you're fat.
And no, nothing like that. Well, not yet, at least. But it's funny. And some of them on TikTok were because of me just saying that I don't like the method of executive orders being the way that he gets everything done, or that's just what presidents now do in general.
Right.
Just by saying that, I had some people like
Joe Biden is just as bad.
No, some people. Well, yes, I did get some of that, but some people were like, "Then leave the country," and they were like, "Well, then vote in the commie next time," like something stupid, and I'm like, I love it because
That's pretty good.
They're I'll show you when we're done, but yeah. So, it's fun. The internet doesn't disappoint. See, I'm not gonna make a joke to how you see how dumb a lot of people are nowadays, because I was gonna say how dumb a lot of people are nowadays.
We're professionals.
We're professionals to not mention how dumb a lot of people are nowadays.
Which they're totally not.
No, they're not dumb.
Especially not my generation. No.
So. A lot of these were older people too, but nobody I know personally. So anyway,
Biden quote.
No. Anyway. So so birds, go birds.
How about it?
All
right.
The Eagles.
We were saying
Eagles in the Super Bowl, but anyway. I do believe, you know what? Out of Tulsi, Cash, and RFK, who do you think will get in the easiest, and who do you think will be the one that's like, oh, maybe they actually don't get voted in, or it was like, another tiebreaker situation?
At this point, I'll kind of go with the wild card and say that it's going to be the hardest for Tulsi to get in, because she's like, it's
Really?
weird to me that people like Susan Collins have come out against her when Tulsi is like, I guess you could call her a moderate Republican now, right?
Well, she is officially a
Yeah,
Republican.
she's not the firebrand.
Yeah, it's probably
that you
moderate,
usually
yeah.
see.
That's fair, I guess.
Which is why it's weird to see Susan Collins come out against her. And I would imagine maybe the senator from Alaska. Forget her name, but
I mean, they're both
it's
super liberal, though.
it's the two that usually vote with the Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, Tulsi. And do you think some of it could be like, hey, you used to be us, but now you're a traitor, so I'm not voting for you anyway? You think it might be some of that?
To an extent.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really, really want to see at least RFK and Cash get in.
Cash is his vision is the most interesting to me. Because even if you have qualms with the way it's gonna be executed, I guess I can still see a future with it.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with the mass layoffs, which is what I'm kind of hyped if this really happens.
So
pretty good speaker too.
Yeah, he is.
He can fire off points.
He is a good speaker. Yeah, I love what RFK wants to do and what he's about. Make America healthy again. I know you're not as much on board with all that, or just don't care as much.
50-50. It's like I kind of don't care and I'm kind of not on board with it.
So
RFK is one that I'm kind of just letting play out for now.
Yeah,
like a wait and see type thing.
For me, a lot of it might be he really, really wants to do things that need to happen for helping kids' health. And we really, really, as a country, we really need to reevaluate a lot of that. What goes into, children's health and vaccines and food and what the government recommends. Like, we really need to reevaluate a lot of that stuff. And he's been saying that for a long time. And he's the only one that's been saying that for a long time. So being somebody that has kids, that's a big reason why I really want to see him.
Obviously, I don't have as much of a stock in it right now.
You still are a kid, basically.
More or less.
So, except you're a grown man in the military, and I appreciate your service. So
it took a swing.
So, yeah, I think about that a lot.
Now would be a great time to say that these are my personal opinions.
Personal opinions of one Evan Ducati, not of the branch of military that he's in. Which everybody knows the Space Force. So, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're back.
Yeah.
Aliens do exist. Just kidding. Maybe.
That'll be a topic.
Oh, they did. They actually. We should mention that real quick. Now I said aliens. The drones. Did
FAA.
you see the press secretary came out? Trump's press secretary.
I saw a clip.
And she said that the official statement. What she said. The official statement from the administration is that the drones sighted in Jersey and Northeast were training drones. It's what they started as.
Right.
And then most of them after that were hobbyist drones. Now, that was one thing I heard from the very beginning as a possibility. I don't necessarily buy it because that's always a super convenient government answer. And so yeah, and she did add in there that these were not, enemy affiliated. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't really buy it, but okay. Any orders, specific executive orders you want to bring up? You want to mention?
How about the birthright citizenship one?
Interesting.
I don't have a super nuanced legal argument for it, but a lot of people are saying, look, if you're born here, you're a citizen, it's settled, it's in the Constitution, which is fine if you want to argue that. Like, I understand the spirit behind it, but someone brought up that we need to think about the reasons why the 14th Amendment was put there, and it was basically so that freed slaves were considered citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So should we be operating under that still or no is basically their point, which I think is worthy to bring up. Now, while it's still the law, I think that you should be a citizen if you're born here, but it's about my point is that the intent was different than what is used for now, as is the case for a lot of laws.
Yeah.
Just something to think about.
That was one when I heard it, and I was like, "That's interesting." I never really have thought about that issue.
It's because you're white.
And yes, I'm very blessed to have been born in a time and a place that I was the greatest country that's ever existed.
Oh yeah,
debatably.
I mean, that's another thing. But come on, what are we debating with here?
That's interesting. That could be an interesting debate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I've had it online before. Is why I bring it up.
Yeah, in like comparison. So you can only do really that comparison with when you mention. So like Rome would be up there.
Yeah.
So like so you'd have to be debating Rome with who else existed when Rome was at its peak, right?
It's like sports debates.
So like, us at our peak, America at its peak compared to what is also here, and then Rome at its peak compared to what was also there. It might be Rome that wins that. Maybe.
Could be.
I don't know. I never really have thought about more than what I just said. But
obviously not adjusted for time period. It's the greatest ever.
I'm okay with saying that.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
Not to get too deep into that.
And what was the? I just realized that clock's not working. What were did we? I feel like there was something we mentioned before we started that we didn't bring up yet. We talked about the hearings.
We hit on Bryann T. We hit
Bryann
on the
T,
hearings.
Yeah. See, I already forgot about Bryann T, and that was like 20 minutes.
Getting old, man.
I am hungry. I will say that.
There you go.
Go Birds! They're in Super Bowl. I'm at the point now with being a fan of sports that I'm a fan of the Eagles again when they're in the playoffs.
I'm working my way there slowly. Not this year though.
No, and you're not back to being a fan yet. Yeah.
I mean, I would say I definitely haven't followed it as closely this year because I just don't have the time anymore, especially the draft.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Y'all don't have the background. I used to have, when I was like 12, 13, I would have a full draft board of like 200 something players. Yep. I can't pull that off anymore.
Yeah. And then back when I was similar age, I used to do the same thing.
Yeah. Trent Cole
is my claim to fame. I called it 5th round from Cincinnati. Eagles picked Trent Cole, and they did. Anyway, but yeah, priorities change, kids happened. I stopped following sports. They take up so much time. And I realized also that they probably were almost like idol level for me, where I followed them that much and I cared about them that much. That now I don't.
And on the sports can be an idol thing, they literally don't matter at all.
They literally don't. They are, if you really think about it.
Not that I'm not an avid sports fan.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear.
See, here's the thing. I have completely removed sports from my life as an idol. And now they're just like, if I watch something for like a couple moments or even maybe a whole game, it's purely just like, oh, that was cool. But I'm not invested in it anymore. Like it doesn't take anything out of me. Where like it used to be kind of like all week I'd look forward to it, and then it was all about it on Sunday, and then whatever, and then if it was a big high, if it was a great game and they won, or if they lost, and especially if they lost horribly, like then the next couple days sucked just because that's how much I put into it. No, not anymore. Yeah, like that's whether you have kids, you're married or not, or anything, like that's right. Not a good place to be. That's not how.
Well, obviously.
Yes, you don't. That's not where sports need to be in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I follow my sports very closely, but I'm far beyond the point of them affecting me emotionally.
Yeah. And you don't have kids. You're not married. You're still
Yeah.
young. But, you know, you get it. And that's good.
Hey, women.
I didn't see that
Truth
coming.
is strength.
All right. With that, now that we're apparently a dating podcast,
You can call it this time.
with that, everybody remember, truth is strength.